All right, what's going on, everyone? Swinging Bull here with PB Alerts. Welcome to my earnings stream. We got some big earnings today. Apple and Amazon. This whole week is just loaded with earnings. Of course, Meta and Microsoft crushed earnings yesterday and sent the market up. And a lot of people were talking about there was going to be a pullback today, and sure enough, it did. Lots of selling going on today. We were playing puts in the Discord left and right. It was a lot of fun. But we got Apple reporting and Amazon reporting. Got TradingView pulled up right now. Just going to zoom in on the charts. And let's take a look. Apple is supposed to report, I think at 4 or 4:05. Amazon is supposed to report right at 4. So I'm going to go back to the stick. Yeah, because Amazon's already trying to make a move here. Amazon closed the regular session at $234.01 per share. Adrian on Discord, how you doing, my friend? Getting some volatility on Amazon. So it wicked up. Now they're selling coming in. So it looks like that first move might have not have been the real move, but let's give it a minute for the price to settle down and see which direction it's ultimately going to go. We are still getting some volatility here. Okay, now it's on the way back up. It's still flickering, so let's give it a minute. I'm assuming the data's out. So while we're waiting for the price to settle down a little bit and pick a direction, let me see if I can get the EPS and revenue data and all that good stuff. John trades on X. Someone sold $2 million worth of Amazon puts expiring in 2 weeks. Interesting. I'm assuming he means possibly cash secured puts, maybe, which would be bullish. Okay, Amazon Q2 net sales came in at 167.7 billion, which topped the estimate of 162.1 billion. So they beat sales. EPS came in at $1.68, which beat the estimate of $1.33. So double beat for revenue and EPS. Net income came in at 18.2 billion versus 14.2 billion was the estimate on that. Operating income 9.2 billion, which topped the estimate of 16.77 billion. AWS sales 30.9 billion. And they also said they see Q3 sales in the range of 174 to 179.5 billion, and operating income 15 to 20 billion, basically. So we do got the data. They did double beat. The price is selling though. So I wonder if they reduced some guidance somewhere along the line. But let me go ahead and post the EPS and revenue data for everyone. Put that on the bottom of my screen here. And we should be getting Apple's earnings here in a few minutes. All right, there we go. Just posted the EPS and revenue on the bottom of my screen. Q3 outlook. Amazon did increase Q3 guidance, by the way. I'm gonna actually post this data from my buddy Shai. He's got it all laid out pretty clean for us. Let's post this, and then we can kind of go over this again. Okay, so the Q3 guidance, they announced 177 billion versus the estimate was 173 billion. So they increased Q3 guidance. They beat sales. They beat EPS, and the AWS sales. They also beat just by a little bit. Let me see what's going on here. I'm trying to post something. Okay. So let's go over so we got the data on Amazon. Price not really reflecting positive reaction, of course. It's trading just below where it closed the regular session at. Closed around 234 a share. trading just below that, 233 and some change. So let's give it a minute and see if it finally ends up picking a direction. But the data is out. Still got a little bit of indecision here. Let me look at some other things. Let me pull this over from the earnings correspondent. We got a nice little graphic here. So again, EPS, the forecast was $1.32. They just reported $1.68. So they beat that by 27%. I mean, that's a solid beat on EPS. Revenue forecast was 162 billion. They just reported 167.7. Beat that by 3%. Year over year numbers look good. EPS up 33% year over year. Revenue up 13% year over year. Quarter over quarter, EPS was up 6%, revenue up 8%. So, I mean, the data's not bad. It's just maybe not as good as investors were hoping for, because the price still hasn't gotten any bullish action yet, except for the volatility before the earnings were announced. It kind of wicked up to 242, then wicked down, and just kind of was all over the place. And now it's on the down move. Apple closed the regular session at 207.50. They're sitting here a little bit green in after hours. They kind of sold off a little bit going into the close. Made a new daily low. So we got the Amazon data. Still waiting on Apple's data. And let me just make sure I didn't miss anything else. All right, I'm going to go to Amazon's investor relations page and get the link for their actual earnings call. We'll find out what time that's going to be. Let me just look that up for everyone real quick. Okay, so I'm going to just go straight to their investor relations page. I'll keep the price over here on the right. Okay, so you can see it right here. It's the Q2 2025 Amazon earnings conference call, July 31st, which is today, 2 p.m. Pacific time, which is going to be 5 p.m. Eastern. Okay, and then you just click on this little hyperlink that says click here for webcast. That's how you're going to get into the web call. And I'm actually going to go back here and copy this link. And let me put this in here. StreamYard's not letting me post anything in the comments, so we're just going to have to roll it out with this. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I'll put the link over here. Okay, if anyone wants the link to the Amazon earnings call, you can take a screenshot of that real quick if you want. So let's go back to the sticks just real quick. Apple's getting a reaction, so their data must be out. So again, Amazon beat EPS, they beat revenue, they beat AWS sales, and they raised Q3 guidance. And there's just no buying going on right now. People are selling. This is getting sold off. Maybe this was a sell the news type deal. Apple on the left side of my screen. Their data's got to be out. Kind of looks like they're frozen a little bit. Don't you go to Webull just for a sec. Okay, so Apple is green in after hours, just under 1%. And let me just scroll down for a minute. Going into the earnings, Apple had a trailing 12-month PE of 32.39. EPS is 6.41. They do pay a tiny dividend, 0.5%. Free float of 14.6 billion. And for Amazon, going into the earnings, PE was 38, EPS 6. They do not pay a dividend. Free float 9.7 billion for Amazon. We'll go back to Apple on my other screen and get the EPS revenue for everyone. It's almost 4:10 p.m. Apple's data actually I don't think is out yet. I think Earnings Whispers said it wasn't coming out till 4:30. Earnings Whispers is saying 4:30, but the forecast EPS is $1.42. The forecast revenue is $88.5 billion. And just taking a quick look at this is like the 1 year chart here, trading just above their anchored view up. Anchored view up around like 205. Let me go back to the candlesticks. Still waiting on Apple. Amazon, it was a bit volatile right before the earnings got announced, and now it's in a downtrend a little bit here in after hours. So let's see if it ends up trying to find the bottom. Hit an after hours low at 227.01 so far. Again, closed the regular session at 234.11. All right, let's look at some other information that I can give to everybody. See if we get some commentary from the CEO or the CFO on either one of these. Let me just scroll down a little bit. Okay. Yeah, Apple's data is not out yet, by the way. But the earnings are imminent. Let's see if SPY's moving because of Amazon. Not really. All right, let me come back down here and see if we can get some commentary from any of the higher ups for Amazon. Everyone's kind of just reporting the same data right now, which was EPS revenue and that they raised Q3 guide. And of course the AWS sales that they just barely beat that. All right. Yeah, I mean, the Amazon earnings weren't bad. They're just not getting any buying so far. It's like they might be trying to put a bottom in now. Maybe it starts going back the other way. Still waiting on Apple. All right, let's look at a couple other things. So and this is for Amazon, operating income is expected to be 15.5 billion to 20.5 billion, compared with 17.4 billion in the third quarter of 2024. So that's kind of in line with their forecasting there. And again, operating income was 19.2 billion compared to 16.77 billion. So they beat a lot of the estimates here. Again, there's just no buying coming in right now. So let's see when it eventually bottoms out. Everyone on X is saying great earnings. The price is definitely not reflecting that. Physical stores net sales, 5.6 billion. The estimate on that was 5.49 billion, so they beat that. And the Q3 net sales, again, this is back to the guidance. Okay. Guidance sees favorable impact of 130 basis points from FX. The Q3 operating income, 15.5 billion to 20.5 billion. The estimate for that was 19.4 billion. So the bottom of that range was a bit below what the estimate was. But yeah, they increased guidance on Q3 net sales. So beat EPS, beat revenue. But again, there's just no buying going on right now. I mean, there's a little bit of buying going on down here. Looks like it's trying to form a bottom. Not really convinced yet. Apple's still trying to make a move. Again, they hit a new low a day going in, right before the close, and they kind of, there were some dip buyers there, but it's been on a decent trend up since that happened. Let's go. Okay, so yeah, and just to confirm for Amazon, the revenue guide they beat by 2%. The EBIT guidance missed by 7.5%. I think that's what's hurting them right now. So that's the piece of information we were missing, is the EBIT. And that basically means earnings before interest and taxes. All right, so I got asked that the other day what EBIT meant. So that's earnings before interest and taxes. It's a financial metric that measures a company's profitability from its core operations, excluding the impact of interest expenses and income tax expenses. So that's what they missed. Everything else looked good. So investors aren't liking the EBIT guidance. They missed that by 7.5%. So I think that's kind of what's hurting them right now, why this thing's not catching a bid. But also, they reported 92 billion in cash and equivalents, but they do have 51 billion in debt. But that's okay. They got double the debt in cash and equivalents, almost 0.9% year-over-year share dilution. So yeah, that's I think is what's concerning about the Amazon earnings is the EBIT guidance missed by 7.5%. That's earnings before interest and tax. So now we kind of know what's going on with Amazon. Got over 500 people tuning in across Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and we're even on Kick now. Got a nice group of people in the Discord. It's good to see everybody. Rollin82, good to see you, buddy. Brutal Trade, he's in my coaching group now. We're going to have a lot of fun and make some money over there. Fast Subi, Wall Street 72, Tammy's in the house. Death Guns here, and my buddy Adrian. Yeah, there was quite a few other earnings out we can take a look at real quick. Let me just go to Earnings Whispers and get the list, but let's see how quickly it can load here. So yeah, I believe Coin was reporting earnings. I think MicroStrategy was reporting earnings. So as soon as that pulls up, we'll take a look. I guess I can go over to Coin right now. Amazon just made a new after-hours low. That missing that EBIT guidance was pretty bad for them, I think. That's what investors aren't liking right now. Let me go back here. And okay, so yeah, of course, Apple, Amazon reporting. Coinbase, MicroStrategy, Reddit, Net is also reporting. I've traded that quite a few times. Roku, Riot. Got some big names today outside of Apple and Amazon, so pretty good list of companies. Let me just check out. I'm gonna leave Amazon on the right. Actually, I'll just go over here. We haven't gotten a move out of Apple yet. Let me see what Coinbase is doing. Okay, Coinbase is selling off. I bet Mara's selling off too. Let's see. Nah, not so much. I mean, Mara kind of sold off today, though, as well. A lot of stocks did, but Coinbase getting a negative reaction. I'll put Amazon back up here. AMZN. There we go. Okay, so Amazon just made an after-hours low of 222.54. So that's $12 below where they closed the regular session at. So Amazon is getting some selling, folks. The earnings data looks good from a bird's eye view, but the red blip I see is that EBIT guidance, earnings before interest and tax guidance. They missed that by 7.5%. Everything else didn't look too bad though. All right, so Coinbase getting a negative reaction. So for you Coinbase traders, what do you think? Maybe this could be a discount. It's down over $30 a share. Closed the regular session at $377.76. Sitting here in after hours with $346 a share. I'm going to pull Apple back up because we haven't gotten a reaction on that one yet. Still waiting on the data. 4:19 p.m. If Earnings Whispers is correct, Apple will report at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, so about 10 more minutes. Can go back to the candlesticks here. All right, so Amazon's still down. It hasn't found a bottom yet. Basically just going to be waiting for higher lows. Right now it's making lower lows and lower highs. So we got to kind of wait a bit on that. Wall Street wants a reason to believe again in Apple. Apple really needs to plant a flag in the AI market. You know, I think that's what investors are kind of waiting on. So still waiting on Apple's data. Should get it soon, though. A lot of people thought they were going to report at 4 p.m., but I'm thinking 4:30. I'm thinking earnings whispers is spot on today with that. Let me see if I got any commentary for Amazon. Give me a few minutes here. Okay. And we already talked about the physical stores net sales being 5.6 billion. They beat on that. The estimate was 5.49 billion. Okay. Yeah, this was kind of like one of the little graphics I was looking at earlier, where I saw that the EBIT guidance missed by 7.5%. So net sales in Q2 25, total 167.7 billion. That was for Q2. For Q1, 155 billion. So net sales have been increasing, 7.7% quarter over quarter growth, 13.3% year over year growth, and net income has also been slowly growing. So again, I don't think their earnings were bad. It's just the earnings before interest and tax guidance missed by 7.5%. So I don't want to sound like a broken record. I probably said that like 10 times now, but that's really like one of the only negative things I can see on that right now. And their subscriptions revenue was up 12%. Advertising was up 23%. And this is a nice little graphic here for Amazon. Online stores brought in 61 billion. That's 10% year over year revenue growth. And third-party seller services, 10% year over year growth, which equated to 40 billion. Amazon Web Services, 31 billion. That was 17% year over year growth. Advertising, we just talked about that, 16 billion, 22% year over year growth. Subscription, 12 billion. $12 billion, so it was up 11% year over year, and physical stores accounted for 6 billion and other 1.5 billion. Okay, let's look at a couple other things here. All right, free cash flow plunged 66% versus the same time last year. I think that's really why Amazon's taking a hit right now. So it's a combination of the EBIT guidance miss and free cash flow plunged 66% versus last year. All right, so that's why the stock is down despite the double beat and the beat in a lot of other areas. But wow, that free cash flow, ouch, down 66% versus same time last year. That's what's hurting them. All right, so now we know what's going on, why Amazon, because again, just, you know, at first glance, it looks like Amazon had great earnings. They beat EPS, they beat revenue, they increased Q3 guidance, but their free cash flow plunged 66% in their EBIT, and they missed EBIT guidance by 7.5%. So that's why investors aren't liking this too much. All right, it looks like we're finally getting the reaction on Apple. It's about 4:20, almost 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Got a little bit of volatility there for a second, didn't we? Let me move that graphic out the way. I'll put that back up just for the time being. All right, as soon as I get EPS revenue for Apple and any guidance or anything like that, I'll let everybody know. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, I'm showing 4:30 p.m. Eastern, so I don't think this is an earnings reaction. Kind of like maybe some pre-earnings jitters. Wonder if they're front running the data that's been trending up since it made that low a day. Real choppy day on Apple, to be honest with you. We'll go 15-minute chart. Yeah, look at that chop. Apple is just a mess today. Kind of trading in somewhat of a tight range, like a $2 range. Just ping ponging in that range all day. I mean, that's an ideal range day there, you day traders. Buy calls at the low of the range, sell them at the top, buy puts at the top, sell them at the bottom. You could have done that a few times. Maybe wait for a couple taps for confirmation it's in the range. But I probably would have played the second half of this range for sure. I didn't realize Apple was doing that today. I was busy trading other stuff. All right, Amazon's still trying to find a bottom. They hit a low at 222.54. And they're still trying to get out of this low of this level here. Let me see what the Fibonacci looks like real quick. I'm not going to count that top wick. Okay, so it's kind of battling with the 25% retrace right now, which is right around a little bit less than 226 a share. It's kind of been trading a little sideways at that level. But yeah, I definitely would like to see some of these levels start getting breached to the upside for me to have confidence that, okay, the bottom's in, right? Maybe look for some higher lows to start printing. Maybe this will be the first higher low right here. We'll keep our eye on it, but there definitely was some selling going on, basically two legs down so far. Let's see if that's the end of it. Apple's still kind of trending up. It's 4:26 p.m. We should get their data in about 4 minutes. If they're going to report on time, actually in about 3 minutes. So the countdown is on. What's up, Death Gun? Hope all's well with you. Let me just check Coinbase just real quick again, because Coin was selling off. All right, Coin looks like they found the bottom right around 345 a share. Finally got some buying coming in. So let's see if that holds. I'm going to go back to Apple because they're reporting like any moment now. About 2.5 more minutes if they report exactly at 4:30. So still waiting on Apple, but we'll get that any minute. Amazon's still trying to figure out if the bottom's in or not. Right around 222.50. To the penny, 222.54. All right, any moment now for Apple. Let's see if we get some fireworks or not. I was kind of expecting a bit of a bigger move out of Amazon, whether it was up or down. But it's only down like $9 a share, so it's not too bad. It's only a little less than 4%. So okay, 4:28 p.m. Got less than 2 minutes. Jeremy Lefebvre on X. Grade A+ for Amazon earnings. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that with their free cash flow plunged 66%. Okay, just a few more minutes and we'll get Apple's earnings data. And of course, Apple is a positive net income company. They're a profitable company. Past 4 quarters, year-over-year numbers were green. Let's look at the debt to asset, 79% debt to asset. Okay. All right, should only be about 30 more seconds and we'll get the Apple reaction. I'll show everyone how to get to Apple's earnings call. I like the people on Twitter are funny sometimes. A lot of people aren't too happy with Amazon right now. Double beat. They raised the Q3 guidance. And, people are upset that's sitting down here red in after hours. But got to kind of read between the lines a little bit. That's what I was saying before. It looks good at a glance, but again, the EBIT guidance they missed, and then the free cash flow was just a big hit for them. So in a bad way. But I don't think it's Amazon's not going nowhere. It'll be fine. If I was a long-term investor, I'd look at it as a discount on the stock. Okay, we're getting our Apple reaction. So far positive. Let's make sure it doesn't pull an Amazon, because I don't know if you remember, but right when Amazon's earnings were released just about 25 minutes ago, or about 30 minutes ago, it initially went up to almost 240. And then obviously that was not the real move, and it sold off. But it's making a pretty good attempt at retracing back up. Amazon is. Look at that. It's testing 227.50, I'd call it. That's going to be your 38% retrace. If it can get back above 230, my confidence that this is gonna reverse and retrace back up. It's going to go up a bit, but that's the 61.8% on the fib, right around 230 and some change. All right, initial reaction from Apple is positive, and it's starting to get volatile, like how Amazon was. Initial positive reaction. Now it's pulling back a little bit. We got wicks on the candles. The volatility is there. Apple did get a double beat as well. We'll go over this real quick. See if okay, StreamYard's still not letting me post into the comments, so I'll have to take a look at that later. So let's just take a look at the Apple's here. I'll put it on here. Okay, so here's the Apple earnings. They beat EPS. The forecast for the EPS. Okay, there. That way we can still see Apple's chart right above it. So Apple just reported earnings, EPS of $1.57, which beat expectations of $1.42. Let me make this a little bigger. There we go. All right, so green light on that one. Revenue came in at $94 billion, which beat expectations of $88.9 billion. Double beat for Apple. It looks good. Initial positive reaction, it did come all the way back down and then came back up, and it's still kind of flickering and volatile. So gotta be a little patient to see if this is going to end up being a positive reaction or not. But again, initial reaction was positive. Let's see if it does the same thing Amazon did, where the first reaction was positive, it looked good, and then it starts downtrending. Look at Amazon, just got rejected from the 38% retrace. So it's struggling to get above there. Kind of lines up right to the T on my fib. Look at that. Now it's just ping-ponging between the 25% and 38%. Just kind of hanging out in this little range here, which is basically 225 and some change to 227 and some change. So like a $2 range. And it's kind of battling that right now. So we'll see if it can break through, or is it going the floor going to fall out? Zoom back out on this so we can get a bigger overview picture of it. So double beat from Apple. We put the data back up there. For some reason, StreamYard's not letting me post comments on the bottom of my screen. I mean, I can add and remove the one that I already posted, but it's not letting me add anything new. So I'll figure that out later. No worries. But yeah, double beat for Apple, double beat for Amazon. Amazon raised Q3 guidance. Amazon not getting a positive reaction yet. And again, free cash flow is down 66% from the same time last year. That's not what investors want to hear. Apple, it's right back to where it was before the earnings data came out. So indecision on Apple as well. This is definitely a different. This is definitely an extreme difference if you look at the earnings from Meta and Microsoft from last night. those two stocks crushed it. They boomed pretty good. Microsoft had a decent pullback today. I don't know if anyone saw the last time I checked, they had retraced like 50% of their earnings rally. Yeah, here you can see it right here, 15-minute chart. Microsoft had a solid earnings reaction. This thing was up over $50 a share, and today basically retraced like 50% of that, didn't it? Let's take a look. Bada bing, bada boom. Yep, it pulled back 50%, kind of bounced off the golden fib a little bit, around 530 a share. Looking like it's trying to curl up now in after hours, but nonetheless, Microsoft still did well. They closed the session yesterday at 513 a share, and they're still sitting up here in the 530. So nonetheless, Microsoft held up half of its rally, if you will. We'll go back to Apple. All right, actually got to get out of here in about 5 minutes, but got a positive reaction for Apple. It's holding up so far. Looks like there are buyers trying to enter the picture after it was a bit volatile. Again, it wicked up to almost 215 a share, came all the way back down, almost negative, down to 208, and then just some volatile candles. Got this one here with the big wick on the bottom. Now it's printing some little doji looking candles here, so we'll see if it can sustain or not. Amazon, it looks like the bottom for Amazon could be in around 222 a share. It's starting to trend up a little bit. This is the 1 minute chart, so don't put too much weight on it, but it is, there are some green candles printing in succession now. So, maybe investors consider this a little bit of a discount, and there's some dip buying going on right now. Let's see if it can hold up or not. Again, until this thing gets back above 230, I'm not too convinced that this is going to reverse all the way. So it definitely got some levels it needs to contend with before the confidence starts going up a little bit, right? So we got the data's out. We got our reactions. Not much of a reaction. I mean, I suppose Apple is faring well. They are up over 2% right now. It's a $200 stock, so $4 to $5 a share. And a little bit about Apple. Yeah, we already went over their revenue and all that stuff, and the EPS. Now Apple, let's look at something else here. Apple Q3 EPS $1.57, and the estimate was $1.42. Yeah, we talked about that already. All right, let me show everyone how to get to the Apple's earnings web call. And again, Amazon's having their earnings web call at 5 p.m. Eastern, so it's about 20 more minutes for that before we get to hear from the management. And for Apple, their earnings call, let's take a look here. We go down to probably going to be under. Let me pull this over just real quick. I'm going to move this over just for a minute. Newsroom. Okay, right here. All right. Okay, couple comments from Tim Cook. All right, about Apple. Today, Apple is proud to report a June quarter revenue record with double-digit growth in iPhone, Mac, and services, and growth around the world in every geographic segment. We were excited to introduce a beautiful new software design that extends across all of our platforms, and we announced even more great Apple Intelligence features. Pretty good comments from the CEO there. It's about 4:40 p.m. Eastern. So again, Amazon's earnings web call is at 5 p.m. Eastern. Amazon did double beat, raised Q3 guidance. However, their free cash flow was not good at all. That's why it started trending down. It is trying to bottom out around 222 a share. That'd be my support in after hours for Apple. It's just going to be the after hours low. Very easy to see. And that's for Amazon. For Apple, they also had a double beat, and they are positive. Okay, they're up about 2%. So let's see if they can keep this trend. Maybe pop on the 21 EMA, see if it rides that EMA for the rest of extended hours. But that's all I got for today. My name's the Swinging Bull with PB Alerts. If you're looking for a new home, check out the links in the description. We'd love to meet you. We've got tons of education, alerts, live streams, live trading every day. If you do end up joining, again, I'm the Swinging Bull. Just tag me in the chat. I'll come by and say hello. And I definitely look forward to meeting you. Cheers and have a great night.